שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני, כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסחו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסחו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסחו מיום ליום ישועתו.
Yanai, didi danai, yanai, didi danai, yanai, didi danai, yanai, 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 didi danai, yanai, didi danai, yanai, dai dai dai, yanai, dai dai dai, yanai, dai dai dai, yanai, didi danai. Yanai, yanai, dai dai, yanai, yanai, dai dai. Yanai, yanai, dai dai, dai didi dai yanai, yanai didi danai, yanai, yanai nai, yanai didi danai, yanai didi dai danai, yanai, yanai, yanai didi danai nai, yanai didi danai, yanai didi dai danai, yanai dai dai dai, yanai dai dai dai. Yanai and I die to die, and I did it die and I, Yanai and I die to die, and I and I nine and I, Yanai and I die to die, and I did it die and I, and I, Yanai, 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 did it and I, Yai did it die and I, and I, Yanai, didi danai, yanai, didi danai, yai da didi danai, yanai danai, tai danai, yanai danai, nai danai, yanai danai, tai danai, yanai didi danai, yanai danai, tai danai, yanai danai, tai danai, yanai danai, tai danai, yanai didi danai, yanai. Yanai, 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 didi danai, 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 yanai, yanai, tai danai, yanai, yanai, tai danai, yanai, yanai, tai danai, yanai, didi danai. Yanai didi dai dai dai, yanai dai dai dai, yanai dai dai dai, yanai didi dai dai, yanai didi dai, yanai, yanai dai, yanai didi dai, yanai didi dai dai, yanai didi dai, yanai, yanai dai, yanai didi dai.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's Shabbat Hanukkah, so we're adding a flavor of Hanukkah throughout. Our opening song is Sivivon Sov Sov Sov. The words, I think, are on page 366 if they're not on your order they're on your order of service. They're right there waiting for you.
Sevivon Sov 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 Hanukkah Uchag Tov Hanukkah Uchag Tov Sevivon Sov 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 Chag Simcha Ula'am Neskar נס גדול היה שם, חג שמחה הוא לעם, סביבון סוף סוף סוף, חנוכה הוא חג טוב, חנוכה הוא חג טוב, סביבון סוף סוף סוף, חג שמחה הוא לעם, נס גדול היה שם, נס גדול היה שם, חג שמחה הוא לעם.
Beautiful. My Hanukkah, not my Hanukkah, but what is the reason for Hanukkah? Our rabbis taught in the Babylonian Talmud, on the 25th of Kislev commences the days of Hanukkah, which are 8 on which a lamentation for the dead and fasting are forbidden. For when the Greeks entered the temple, they defiled all the oils therein. And when the Hasmonean dynasty prevailed against and defeated them, they made search and found only one cruse of oil, which lay with the seal of the high priest, but which contained sufficient for one day's lighting only. Yet a miracle was wrought therein, and they lit the lamp therewith for 8 days. The following year, these days were appointed a festival with the recital of Hallel and thanksgiving. For 8 days, we celebrate and remember. Miracles don't have to be grand to be transformational. The power of hope and perseverance can often overthrow even the strongest enemy, and even the smallest light can illumine the darkness. As we celebrate Shabbat Hanukkah and light our Hanukkah for the that's right? Okay, the 6th, okay, I read it, okay, my math skills are not good. For the 6th night, let us feel the warmth of community despite the cold outside. You all get extra points for showing up. Let us hold on to hope for a peaceful and more secure new year, and let the tenacity of our ancestors give us strength to keep the light of Jewish life aglow. We turn to our handouts for our Hanukkah blessings. And we're going to sing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim lavoteinu, bayamim hahem, b'azman hazeh. Ma'oso Yeshuati lechana elishabeach tikon betefilati v'sham toda mizabeach li'etachin batbeach mitzar nabeach azek mor b'shir mizmor Chanukah hamizbeach azek mor b'shir mizmor Chanukah hamizbeach. Rock of ages, let our song praise your saving power. You amid the raging foes were our
We now turn to page 3 as we make ready to welcome Shabbat. It's my pleasure to invite up Ellen Barshop to offer our readings before we light our Shabbos candles.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kideshanu bemitzvotav, vetzivanu lehadlik ner, Shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
We continue with Kiddush on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon inchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila lemikrahe kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'achata, ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim, ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. L'chaim.
Join us now on page 22 for Psalm 92, Mizmor Shir LeYom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodot L'Adonai.
Mizmor shir leyom HaShabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai uzamer l'shimcha elyon, tov lehodot l'Adonai uzamer l'shimcha elyon, להגין בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, להגין בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, טוב להודות לאדוני זמר לשמך עליון, טוב להודות לאדוני וזמר לשמך עליון.
We turn back to page 20 as we make ready to welcome the Sabbath bride. Singing Lachado D, we sing verses 1 and 2, 5 and 9. when we reach verse 9, Believe Shalom, we rise together facing the entrance of our sanctuary to beckon that Sabbath spirit, that Shabbos bride. Whether you're here with us in the sanctuary or joining us from your own sacred space at home, we invite you to sing with us with full voices and spirits. Thank you. Lech Adoni likakala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lech Adoni likakala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Shamo v'zachor v'nimar echad hishmianu, elam yuchad Adonai echad. ושמו אחד לשמו תפארת ולתהילה. לך אדוני לקקלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך אדוני לקקלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת נבנך כי ממקור הברכה מראש מקדם. נשוכה סוף מעשה ומחשבה תחילה. לך אדוני לקקלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך אדוני לקקלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי, אורי. שיר דברי כבוד אדוני, עלייך נגלה. לך אדוני לקקלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך אדוני לקקלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום התקלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמונה עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך אדוני לקקלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך אדוני לקקלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Turn to those around you, wish them a Shabbat Shalom, a Chag Urim Sameach, a happy Hanukkah. Let them know you're glad they're here. We continue with the Baruch Hu on page 28.
Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah potech sha'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakira kirtsono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzavaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid imloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Together on page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam nevanecha, vedibarta baham, veshivtecha beveitecha, uvelechtecha vaderech, uveshochbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu letotafot bein einecha, uvtavtam, המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Hanukkah is a holiday that focuses on freedom and redemption, both in the past and today. As Rabbi Daniel Gordis explains, Hanukkah urges modern Jews to look into the lights and reflect on our survival. As the candles burn low or the oil gradually runs out, the fires do not simply disappear. For the last few moments of their burning, they flicker, seemingly ready to be extinguished when suddenly they leap back to life. Just when it seems the flame is gone, it revives. It is a quasi-desperate exhibition, a suggestion that the fire does not want to die. And though the flame will eventually go out, our response is to light them again the next night. This is the point of Hanukkah. It proclaims that the downtrodden, the powerless, the dispossessed, and the all but vanquished are these flames. We look at the lights, noticeable to all, a public affirmation, reminding the world of the possibility of survival for those who would seem to have little hope. We look and we say, we have survived against all odds, and we believe you can and will as well. We sing a song of redemption, past and present, with an ever-glowing hope for the future. Micha Mocha, page 365. And the yam bye bye bim biddy dum, yabba bye bye bim bum, yam bye bye bim biddy bum, yabba bye bye bim bum, yai 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 yai, yabba bye bye bim bum, yai 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 yai, yabba bye bye bim bum, mihi kamocha, bailim Adonai, mihi kamocha, nedar b'kodesh. Norati loro sefele, norati loro sefele, ma'alechutecha ra'u banecha, v'okeyayam l'idei Moshe u'Miriam, zeri zeri
diddy die, diddy die, 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 hi, da, da, die, die, diddy die, da, die, da, die, hi, da, da, die, die, diddy die, die,
bim bam. ונאמר כי פדת את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Together on page 42. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up our guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים את הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. We rise for the Amidah on page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagipor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh Hakol, Ve'zocher Chastei Havot Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei Vneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye hakol atarav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, mechalkel chaim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofeh cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishene afar, mi hamocha ba'al gevurot, להצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. Most months we take a Shabbat out of the month to focus on worship works, that is how worship works, right? And this year we've mostly been focusing on the left side of the prayer book, right? The part that is not the Hebrew and the English and transliteration, but the creative pieces. But since it is Shabbat Hanukkah, hopefully everyone has a sheet that says worship works on it. If not, raise your hand. Rabbi Jurgen will hand them out. Tonight we thought it would make sense to focus on the special insertion that we add for Hanukkah in the prayer book. And so it's part of our Hoda'ah, our prayer of thanksgiving. So we're going to learn a little bit about it, and then we will say it as part of our Amidah. So when we're celebrating Hanukkah, this is the group participation part of the program here. What are we celebrating during the holiday? What's the Maccabees? I cannot tell who said that. Okay, what did you say? Okay, getting very technical, very good. The Maccabees, and who were a family that were part of the Hasmonean dynasty, absolutely, that they were victorious, right? And the main focus of the holiday, though, is okay, yes, it is, but it's the light, right? But the part that often does get overlooked is that light was all about rededicating the temple. And why were they rededicating the temple? Because they hadn't had it for many years during war, and they had finally won the temple back, right? During the Hasmonean dynasty. Very good. Excellent. You both get an extra latke tonight. Very good. Okay, so this is something to give thanks for. I think as I read at the very beginning that excerpt from the Talmud, the focus from a Jewish perspective is less about that reclaiming the temple and more about the rededicating of the temple, more focusing on the miracle of the light than the miracle of the military victory, right? But when we look at this Al Hanisim for the miracles, which is part of our Hoda'ah prayer, we see that it tries to bridge both of those. Okay, so we're gonna wind up reading this twice, but we're gonna read Al Hanisim for the miracles in English, and then think about what it's all about.
And we thank you for the miracles, for the redemption, for the mighty deeds, for the saving acts, and for the wonders which you have wrought for our ancestors in those days, at this time.
Okay, so pause. So this first opening paragraph is very general, right? You could insert it at any of the moments in Jewish history where God redeemed us or saved us, right? But then we get very, very specific. Keep going.
In the days of Matityahu, the son of Yohanan, the high priest, the Hasmonean, and his sons, when the wicked Hellenic government rose up against your people Israel to make them forget your Torah and violate the decrees of your will. But you, in your abounding mercies, stood by them in the time of their distress. You waged their battles, defending their rights, and avenged the wrong done to them. You delivered the mighty into the hands of the weak, the many into the hands of the few, the impure into the hands of the pure, the wicked into the hands of the righteous, and the wanton sinners into the hands of those who occupy themselves with your Torah. You made a great and holy name for yourself in your world and effected a great deliverance and redemption for your people Israel to this very day. Then your children entered the shrine of your house, cleansed your temple, purified your sanctuary, kindled lights in your holy courtyards, and instituted these 8 days of Hanukkah to give thanks and praise to your great name.
Thank you. So a mini history lesson inserted into the Hoda'ah, right? And what's the emphasis here? Is it military? Is it ritual? Is it religion? Is it identity? What do you think is the focus of this Al-Hanisim? What was the point of the battle?
The response over here was to preserve religious freedom.
Nice. To preserve religious freedom. I know that's what everyone said. You gotta raise your hands, people, so we can, it's hard to hear everyone. So to preserve religious freedom, that the battle was not so much about winning a war, it was about winning back our sacred space, maintaining that sacred space, which they had been taken away from them, right? So Maimonides, Rambam, gives us an explanation, a medieval explanation. Lynn is gonna read, cool. Thank you, Lynn.
During the 2nd century, the Greek kings issued harsh decrees against Israel, outlawed their religion, forbade them to engage in the study of Torah and the practice of mitzvot, laid hands upon their money and their daughters, entered the sanctuary and ravaged it, and defiled all that had been ritually pure.
Very, very descriptive, yes. Keep going.
What'd she say?
It was very descriptive.
Yes, you're not
Yes.
kidding. Includes it all. They caused Israel great anguish till the God of our parents granted them mercy and delivered them from the hands of their enemies. The Hasmonite priests prevailed, slew them, and delivered Israel from their hands. They designated a king from among the priests, and the kingdom of Israel was restored for more than 200 years to the second destruction.
Thank you. So there is, as much as it's about God, it's pretty graphic for medieval commentaries, right? And there's a lot of nationalistic, even militaristic pride in this moment where these Israelites stand up and not only fight back, but really punish physically, right, in very descriptive terms, their enemies. And we have this tension then between, like, we think about what are traditional Jews and their strength versus what is this idea of nationalist pride. And we see throughout Jewish history the tension, right? On one hand, our strength, as we'll read in a moment, comes not from being physically strong, but that's because throughout so much of history, we were a people who were a small group living, you know, at the goodwill of whatever kingdom or community we lived in. So it's very dangerous to talk about how physically strong Jews are when you don't want the king or the Lord or the czar or whatever to think that you have the strength to rebel, right? So the emphasis on the light, on the miracle of rekindling and re-sanctifying the sanctuary, but at other times we see in our tradition this physical anger and rage and wanting to fight back and win physically. We see this in the traditional Passover Haggadah as well. That's a conversation for another time. Okay, so we as modern Jews are left, I think, with this tension. And when we think about the anti-Semitism we're experiencing in the world today, we can imagine a little more what our ancestors felt like when maybe they were not only worried about keeping their faith, but physically scared to put their menorahs in the window, right? When the idea of being strong and being able to stand up for yourself feels a little bit like a fantasy or something that one hopes for in the future, versus when we think about a place like Israel where there is physical force, and one of the reasons people feel so connected to Israel being able to stand up for itself. But how do you balance those two things? What really is the essence of the Jewish soul? All right, Harry Gersh gives us something to think about. Who's reading? Arlene, of course.
Today, some people try to use Hanukkah to show that the Jews were a warrior people. They were not. The great men of the Jews were not warriors. They were men of learning, lawgivers, wise men. Some people try to change the meaning of Hanukkah so that it celebrates a war for independence. It wasn't. The Jews would rather have had their own government and king, but they did not go to war over politics. As a matter of fact, they accepted Antiochus, they accepted his taxes, even when he taxed the temple. But they would not accept his interference with their worship, their belief, their religion. So this war was the first for the right of a people within a country to believe as they wish, so long as they followed the king's law in worldly matters. For thousands of years, Jews have lived under kings, princes, dukes, caliphs, governors, presidents, and they have always been loyal to these rulers, so long as they were permitted to practice their own religion. This idea of religious freedom is followed in all free nations today. It was first given to the world by Jews. Antiochus offered the Jews complete equality with all the rest of his subjects, so long as they would agree to be like all his other subjects. So the Jews fought not for equality, but for the right to be different. The Maccabees risked their lives for freedom to serve God. That's why the festival of Hanukkah does not take place on the day of a great battle. It does not take place on the day the Jews reconquered Jerusalem. It takes place during the week that the temple was cleansed and a new fire lighted in the menorah. This is the meaning of Hanukkah. Hanukkah is a festival of dedication. It reminds us of the value of freedom of worship. It recalls our dedication to God.
Thank you, Arlene. I heard on NPR earlier this month that nonviolent protests are actually much more successful than violent ones, right? And that when you're fighting for a cause, not territory per se, but a belief, but a freedom to express yourself and to be given the opportunity to be who you want to be, that's where people come together. The truth is that in the time of Antiochus, the Jews were very divided. There were fully assimilated Jews. There were Jews who were connected to the kingdom. The Maccabees were zealots. They lived out in the forest. No one wanted anything to do with them. They thought they were crazy. Until the Antiochus and the Assyrian Greeks started taking away their ability to follow their own faith. Suddenly, then, those zealots became the people who united everyone. And so Hanukkah is so much more than a military battle, and it's more than a miracle of being able to have light that lasted 8 days instead of 1. It's about people standing up together, about facing odds that feel overwhelming, and knowing that their spirit and their strength internally is what's going to help them win. Who knows that better than Nelson Mandela and his fight for freedom in South Africa?
Our worst fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone, and as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same.
There's a disagreement in the Talmud between Rav Hillel, or Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai, as to how we're supposed to light our menorahs. Shammai, who was really very technically connected and understood the origins of Hanukkah and being in the temple, said we should start with all 8 candles, and over the course of the days, we should go down to 1. Because of course, this is again a conversation for a different time, Sukkot was the festival that that was closest to Hanukkah, and when they rededicated the temple, they wanted to celebrate Sukkot. And if we follow the biblical sacrifices for Sukkot, you start with 8 animals and you work your way down to 1. But Hillel understood that starting with a lot and going down to almost none, not so inspiring. But when we see that one light builds upon another, and that light slowly grows and grows and grows, we see what power there is in each of our own individual lights being together. Hanukkah is a time where being with other Jewish people is important, especially when Hanukkah and Christmas are so close together. There's a lot of lights out there in San Antonio. They don't all belong to us. We can enjoy them, we can admire them, but these lights, these are our lights, and that's what we give thanks for. So we are going to turn in our prayer books to our Hoda'ah Modim, which is on page 58. We are going to read that together, and then we're going to turn to page 264 for our special Hanukkah insert. Join with us. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai our God and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one whose mercies never end, O compassionate one whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. Page 264. I have to go back. It's super awkward. I know. We thank you for the miracles, for the redemption, for the mighty deeds and saving acts brought about by you, and for the wars which you waged for our ancestors in the days of old at this season. In the days of the Hasmoneans, Mattathias ben Yochanan, the high priest, and his children, when the evil government of Greece rose up against your people Israel to make them forget your Torah and to make them leave the laws of your will, in your great mercy, you rose up with them in their time of trouble and fought in their fight. Judge their cause just. You delivered the mighty into the hands of the weak, the many into the hands of the few, the unclean into the hands of the pure, the evil into the hands of the righteous, and the arrogant into the hands of those who engage in your Torah. For you made a great and holy name in your world, and for your people Israel. You brought about the great triumph and redemption on that day. And when your children came to the Holy of Holies and emptied your temple and purified your holy place and lit candles in your holy courts and established these 8 days of Hanukkah, grateful to acknowledge and to praise your great name, we go back. Thank you, to page 58. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha olacha na'eh lehodot. Amen.
Amen. Thinking about all of the light and what the light brings to us, we think of all of those who are in need of light, those who are in need of healing of mind, of body, and of spirit, those listed on your service supplement, or if you are joining us on live stream on your screen. We think of all of them and whisper their names out loud now. We join together in the words of Misha Berach, which can be found on page 253. We're making you go back and forth here.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Lahim Avotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lehavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with Refuah Shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We take a moment now for our own silent prayers.
Al hanisim ve'al hapurkan ve'al hagvurot ve'al hatishuot ve'al haniflaot she'asita le'imotenu בימים ההם, בזמן הזה, בימים ההם, בזמן הזה. Di-di-di, 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 nai-nai-dai, di-di-di, di-di-di, hi-hi-oh. Hanisim ve'al hapurkan ve'al hagvurot ve'al hatishuot ve'al haniflaot she'asita le'avotenu בימים ההם, בזמן הזה, בימים ההם, בזמן הזה.
We rise for Aleinu, page 283.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת כנולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לאחד את שמו, וגורלנו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. As we turn to page 292 for our memorial meditation, we note with sadness the death of Mark Rogo, husband of Moira, father of Elena, Gabriel and Amy, and Kieran. The funeral service will be held at 1 p.m. on Friday, January 6th at Fort Sam Houston National Cemetery. We also note with sadness the death of Shirley Hoffman, mother of Temple Beth-El member Ann Weiner and Judy and Edward Malloy, grandmother of Temple Beth-El member Rebecca and Bob Warden, Randall Weiner and Sean Malloy, great-grandmother of Brinley, Braxton, Laney, and Lennox. Funeral services will take place at a later date in Virginia. Page 292, meditation number 8 by Rabbi Chaim Stern. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust and the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear, but if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said that in his affliction, he learned the law of God, and in truth, grief is a great teacher. When it sends us back to serve and bless the living, we learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silent in their presence and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as in their higher moments they themselves wish to live. We remember them now. They live in our hearts. They are an abiding blessing. Our thoughts turn now to those in our community and extended community. As we mark their yahrzeits, we remember them. William H. Alberts, Stephen Barshop, Ronald Burge, Howard Lane Bergman, Lillian Bluestein, Paul Breslow, Bernice Cantil, David Carlin, Ruben Chayette, Lester Cohen, Pat Sheck Cohn, Catherine Kroom, Dr. Herbert Allen Davis, Claire Anna Delavan, Arthur Downey, Bertha Drieben, Jacobo Dresser, Bela Eidelberg, Max Feller, Rabbi Ephraim Frisch, Alfred W. Gardner, Sheldon Goldberg, Pam Gold Keegan, Lou Grome, Sam Gerwitz, Mark Herzberg, Dr. Nathan Horowitz, Helen Jackson, Jonathan Lee Kaplan, Jake Karotkin, Louis Sonny Kaufman, William Kropf, Maxine Landsman, Saul N. Lee, Benjamin O. Leff, Francis Levy, Sidney Maurice Levison, Louis Meyerowitz, Dr. Leo D. Moss, Sidney Ozer, Klava Pavlenko, Roxanne Holland Panansky, Sadie Stutman Portnoy, Hetty Reisberg, Sandra Lotman Rosenthal, Pearl Rubeck, Joan Sater, Sherry Schlossberg, Robert Schmidt, Robert L. Schmidt, Melanie Daub Singer, Ella Goldman Solomon, Helen Lichten Solomonson, Henry Louis Solomonson Jr., Leonard Sterling, Kalma M. Strauss, Minnie Strauss, Minna Susser, June Volz, David Warschauer, Henrietta Werbner, Fanny Wolf, Amelia Wolfson, Barbara Hammer Wood, and Daniel Wright. To these names, we add those who've been laid to rest in the past 30 days, whose family and friends are in a mourning period of Shloshim. We remember Elaine Spanier, Anna Rado, Ephraim Graff, Marjorie Gernsbacher, and Linda Rogers. We also think of those who have been buried in this past week, whose family and friends are in a mourning period of Shiva. We remember Sandra Wolf, mother of Kim Wolf and Jason Bishop, Lonnie and Lenora Wolf, and Barry Wolf, grandmother of Halen, Asher, and Siri Bishop, Rachel Wolf, and sister-in-law to Barbara Wolf, and aunt to numerous nieces, nephews, and cousins in the Wolf and Shadanoff families. We remember Dr. H. Norman Abramson, father of Philip and Lisa Abramson, and Mark and Marilyn Abramson, grandfather of David and Lisa Abramson, and Joshua and Lynn Abramson, great-grandfather of Noah, Samantha, Lauren, Owen, and Cooper. We remember Mary Sivan, mother of Temple Beth-El member Eileen and Larry Goldman, Erwin and Pat Sivan, and Dana and Jonathan Cohen, grandmother of Robin and Paul Schuler, Amy and David Rahmani, Margot Sivan, Trevor Sivan, Jack Cohn, Alexander Cohn, and great-grandmother to Sawyer, Lily, Lincoln, Noah, and Luna. We remember Rose Kamen, mother of Temple Beth-El member Roy Kamen and Wayne Kamen. We also remember Jane Bankler, wife of Stephen Bankler and mother of Brian and Jackie Bankler, Faye and Jason Castle, and Todd Bankler, sister of Martin and Mary Beth Dennehy Jr., sister-in-law of Temple Beth-El members Donald and Claudia Bankler, and Barry and Bonnie Bankler, as well as Eileen and Paul David, aunt of Temple Beth-El members Scott and Jennifer Bankler, and LA and Jason Beck, grandmother of AJ, Aiden, Quinn, Elliot, Ellery, and Sasha. To all of these names, we add those which are in our hearts each and every day as we turn to Kaddish Yatom, page 294, and rise together as one community. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala v'yizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulmei almaya, yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitzadar v'yitzaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha brichu, La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, amen. You may be seated. It is my honor to call forward Debbie Roos, President of our Board of Trustees, to deliver tonight's announcements.
I'd like to welcome everyone, and I'm so glad that you could join us in our sanctuary or at home in your own sacred space. 'Tis the sixth night of Hanukkah, and under our dome, the candles are lit, and in every home, we celebrate the Maccabees and miracles too, as well as Shabbat, because that's what Jews do. The children are gathered, delight in their eyes, with gelt in their hands, expecting a surprise. Wrap presents await while the tall shamash blazes. Menorahs are glowing as we sing Rock of Ages. We've got dreidels and latkes and donuts with jelly, not some red-suited guy with a great big fat belly. It was Judah and Jonathan, Eliezer and John, Simon and others who fought through till dawn. A temple destroyed, a flame threatening to go out, yet one pot of oil proved God's miracle, no doubt. Not 1 day, not 2 days, not 3 days, not 4. 7 days the flame burned and still lasted one more. Our festival of lights give hope for tomorrow that joy and prosperity will always trump sorrow. Happy Hanukkah to you all as you head to your home. And it goes without saying, I wish you Shabbat Shalom. I'm breathing now. That's so weird. Thank you all to everyone who took part into our service, and I really appreciate Ellen Barshop stepping up to light our Hanukkah candles tonight. Here's some upcoming events at Temple. There's still some time to volunteer for the First Responders Meal on Saturday, December 25th. We still need donations and volunteers. This year we are feeding over 1,000 people, so anything helps. To volunteer, please contact Ross Halifant, and if you would like to donate monetarily to this endeavor, please contact Michael Ringel or Dolly Klosna, or please just go online. On Christmas Day, we're feeding the homeless at Travis Park Church and Corazon Ministries, and thanks to our amazing members, we have actually filled our volunteer spaces. However, we're still accepting donations. To do so, please contact Ross or Michael Ringel. Jewish high school juniors and seniors are invited to apply for the 2023 cohort of the Israel Leadership Fellowship. Over 5 sessions, teens will deepen their understanding of Israel, prepare for anti-Semitism they may face, and develop transferable skills in tough conversations about Israel. Applications are due no later than January 15th, 2023, and to learn more and to apply, go to, you'll remember this, jfsatx.org/learn. Write that down. All right. There are still some spots on our March 2023 Interfaith trip to Israel, and registration is still open. Please visit the Adult Learning tab on our website for more information. But wait, there's more. You could also register for our TBE trip to Krakow, Warsaw, and Berlin on October 15th through the 25th of 2023. In Krakow and Warsaw, we will bear witness to the most painful chapter in Jewish history, and at the same time, we will experience the invigorating rebirth of a young and vibrant Jewish community. Berlin is one of the most exciting capitals in the world today, and while we will meet the most painful past, we'll also enjoy the sense of hope which infuses the current Jewish community. Registration and full itinerary can be found on the Temple website. Everything going on at Temple is listed on our website calendar and in our weekly email, which arrives in your inbox around 4 p.m. on Thursday afternoon. Shabbat Shalom and Happy Hanukkah.
I did. All by myself. That's like,
That was
she
impressive.
just wrote that all by herself. That's pretty awesome. I think we need to publish that. It was really good. All right. Our closing song is on page 365. Oh, or on your supplements. You don't even have to look. It's amazing. I mean, you should look, but you can look on your supplement and not your prayer book. Hanukkah, oh Hanukkah, please rise. Rabbi Jurgen was not aware of the second verse. Maybe you weren't either, but we're going to do it. Hanukkah, oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, I'll give you a treat. Sivivon to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. Hanukkah, oh Hanukkah, a festival of joy, a holiday, a jolly day for every girl and boy. Spin the whirling dreidels all week long. Eat the sizzling latkes, sing a happy song. Now light them tonight then, the flickering candles in a row. Retell the wondrous story of God's eternal glory and dance by the candles' cheering glow. Retell the wondrous story of God's eternal glory and dance by the candles' cheering glow. Shabbat Shalom. Happy Hanukkah.
If you're joining us for dinner, just go straight across the hall into the Bar Shop Auditorium.